Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having an amazing day. We're taking a look here at Pepe, seeing what's going on. Happy Saturday to you and your family. This is great news, actually. It's doing pretty much exactly what we wanted it to do, which is mostly just go up. That's what we've always wanted to do, right? Most people prefer that. And what's great though is that we got a chance to break through this key level resistance here, so we can go ahead and flip this guy around and give us that nice little green shade, because that should be working as a support level now. You can see previously worked as a support, broke down below, initially worked as a resistance, and now turned support. Okay, so really cool stuff there in that regard. We're really happy about this. And again, congrats to a lot of my community members who took some nice healthy long positions here. As a matter of fact, if you take a look at our we got some trade results here. Some of our community members, what's that? Good 1,214%. Yes, that is correct. That is a nice leverage long. Also, not to overshadow that whatsoever, but for our traditional swing trade community, we got good 14 hours. We got 28% profit from Gala here from one of our swing trades recently. So again, congrats to our community members. Really happy for you guys. Keep up the good work. Super awesome that is working out well for you. That said, though, what we want to do is talk a little bit about, well, a couple things here. First of all, obviously the support level here, which we need to flip back over to green, and then also a few other key indications, right? Because we talked about the RSI yesterday and how it's important we stay above that level at 50. Well, we broke through, broke below, now we broke above cleanly. Okay, so that's a great sign. That's really going to help us reaffirm the fact that we have a support level there. Coincidentally, that little support range there is going to be reflected right here on the charts, right? So that being said, what we can see is a pretty strong support range between 147 and roughly about 180. Okay, now again, this worked as a support previously for quite some time, and of course it could and should work as a support now. Again, I like to emphasize the word could because it's not necessarily a guarantee. It's just going to not drop from here, but there's less likelihood because we have a tremendous amount of volume coming in to Pepe here in the last 24 hours. So it's really awesome to be able to see that. We've also got this MACD convergence that occurred, and that's a typical sign I mentioned yesterday to watch out for. With the convergence on the MACD, that is absolutely a swing trader's dream, right? That's what you look for and what you want. If I recall correctly too as well, we are above the 20 and below the 50, which we are. These are moving averages. This really just tells us we're on the right side of the tracks, but look at how good this is. Price breaks through the 20, comes down, rides it out for a good 12 hours solid, and then legs up. Okay, so keep in mind, we're kind of getting rejected by the 50-day SMA tentatively, but what do you know? There's no coincidence. This previous support level is now a resistance zone, okay? So that being said, we got to respect the fact that we're going to probably be range bound between 180 and roughly 210 until it breaks either up or down. Okay, we got to expect it to do one or the other, of course. Obviously, that's how trading works. It can only go two directions, up or down. I mean, it can technically go sideways, but it's still kind of going up and down within that, right? That said, though, we are looking at a pretty strong resistance zone here. We can pull up Fibonacci retracement levels here and kind of just see if there's any potential for retracement, what that would look like. And we can see right now, price is consolidating at that support there at about 185. We've also got the 0.382 and 0.5 levels, so it's kind of like that sweet spot where the price will typically come back down to consolidate. So we could see a dip down to 170 with a potential leg up from there. So to me, I would just expect something along these lines and then a retest of this zone. Okay, so that's kind of what we're looking at there in that regard. Let's take a quick look at the 1 hour and kind of go from there, or call it a day more so. We're going to look at three things. We're going to look at TD sequential and identify that we are seeing these nice healthy continuations, right? So price goes up to a 9, or basically a 7, got rejected, finishes a 9, gets a nice little reset with 8 hours of consolidation, jumps up to a 7, and it's likely doing the same thing at support right now. Okay, so those are really, really good things. We like to see that. That is very healthy. That is very, very standard trading. Okay, that's the great thing about these meme coins. A lot of folks say that it's irrelevant to use technical analysis. That's almost exact opposite. Coins like this have the strongest potential to do what they're supposed to do within the trading realm. And the reason why a lot of it to do with this is because there's some emotional trading, of course, but more importantly, there's kind of a separation from Bitcoin, but also concurrent reliability on Bitcoin. So let's talk about that just really quick, because I know folks are kind of curious about what I mean by that. If you take a look at Bitcoin, it came down, right, for quite some time, roughly the same behavior from Pepe. When Bitcoin decided it wants to rally, which you can see here, right, then Pepe effectively did a very similar thing. It's just going a lot stronger, a lot harder in its own way. Okay, so again, I'm not saying that Pepe absolutely has to rely on Bitcoin, but I am saying that there is still somewhat of a connection there. So if Bitcoin has a bad day on Monday, which is possible to maybe fill a gap, then we might be in a position where we might see Pepe sell off as well. So try to be aware of that. There's different correlations and different things, but just something to be aware of. All right, so let's wrap this up here. We are above the cloud. This is pretty obvious. Let's go ahead and remove these fibs so you can kind of see it a little better. But you can basically see that we're well above the cloud. We have been for some time. So that should work as a support level. What's great about that is that cloud is naturally averaging itself out right here at this previous previous resistance turn support. 180,000 is the point of contention here. It's a very important number. I've noticed the price action will either stay above or below pretty firmly once it does. Because you can see here previously, price did not want to break below that level. Once it did, it dropped pretty hard. So we want to be able to maintain 180. I think that's an important number. That said, though, the price action is above the cloud, conversion line is above the baseline, lagging spans free and clear the price action. So keep in mind, if in the next 12 to 24 hours the price just keeps going sideways, it may be a good sign to consider closing your long position or trimming your position. I'm not saying that you just flip to a short all of a sudden, but I can tell you that if we don't leg up here soon, then this will basically give us the indication that window for this momentous trend is closing. Okay, because we can kind of see like there is an ascending trend here, right? The price is ascending upwards here. The price doesn't want to come below there, even though we would just wick down. Yes, we are essentially at a point where we're making higher highs and higher lows. If we continue that, obviously we'll go up. If we discontinue that, we may have to see how the price consolidates at support. If we're overextended going into it, could be a different story. Taking a look here at SVP, or just to clarify here, what this is here is just kind of gives us the, in a 24-hour period, how much volume is accumulated and where. I like this because it gives me an indication here, like for yesterday, for example, the most amount of volume is at this level here, roughly 126,000. But you can see it worked as a resistance level here and then broke through. So that's where volume comes into play. The amount of volume for that day was aggregated right here at this level for the most part. And once we broke through that resistance, it continued further. You can see a similar scenario here where it used that as a support, that volume support, and the price continues upward. We have a lot of volume, of course, accumulating at this range, but still a little too early to anticipate tomorrow's price action. Very last thing to touch on too is just the standard trading hours. Keep in mind this is a weekend, so it's less relevant, but you can see yesterday that the Asian markets and the UK markets dominated on not necessarily Bitcoin, because actually they technically did too, but more so on Pepe here. Okay, and of course New York also did pretty well. So just cool little things to kind of see and pay attention to. But I would say at this point, we are definitely looking at potential further retracement just before we jump up, right? Because it does look like it's kind of working itself into a wedge pattern here. Oftentimes those can break to the upside, but we're overextended going into this resistance level. So it would make a lot more sense to consolidate a support here and or leg down a little bit before the next leg up. We just want to make sure that the next leg down, in order to continue this continuation, right? We want to have nothing lower than 170, okay? Because again, if we come down to this 150 range, then we're going to be basically having a head and shoulders, and that's a different story, right? So we want to avoid that if at all possible. We need to establish higher lows continuously. So if we come down, I would say 170 would be the lowest point. So to me, I would kind of I'm going to pay attention to this right here at about just say 172. So if that alert comes off, I'll reevaluate and see if that's a good place to take a long, right? Just something to consider. But all in all, that's where we're at for Pepe. I hope that this makes sense and was helpful for you, of course. Also, if you could just help us grow our Twitter community here, and obviously note that we do have some giveaways, of course, through BitGet, and obviously our our actual, Crypto Cash Premium. We are actually able to give away a free membership yesterday. Congratulations to one of our community members there. It's really awesome. So be sure to check that out. Either way, thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for your time. We'll see you soon.